Hola aventureros, bienvenidos a Your Spanish Roadmap. Soy Lucia, Spanish teacher, translator, and polyglot. Today, still till the end for a cheeky surprise. But for now, if you're watching this, it means that you're looking for better ways to improve your Spanish. And I've got a method and a great tip for you today that will change how you approach learning vocabulary and language learning in general, to be honest. And no, it is not about memorizing words from lists. It's about something way more effective. It's about context to context. So when it comes to learning vocabulary, it's not just what words you learn, but where you get those words from. It's totally fine to pull words from a vocabulary list. But here's the thing. It is much more powerful to pull them from context. By that, I mean getting words from podcasts, books, movies, conversations, or anything that involves real life language. And let me explain you why. When you're reading a book or listening to one of our campfire stories in Spanish and you come across a word that you don't know, you're not just seeing that word alone. You're seeing it in a sentence, surrounded by other words and ideas. You are seeing how it's used. Maybe it's in a conversation, or maybe it's describing a place or an emotion. But that context gives you clues about the meaning and helps you understand the word's utility. This cognitive process of figuring out the word through context also helps cement the word memory. It is also much easier to recall that word or phrase when you can picture how it was used in a story or conversation. Let me sell this idea to you. Here's the first big advantage. Learning words in context helps place them into your long term memory. Our brains store information in networks, not just isolated bits. So, when you learn a word as part of a sentence, story, or conversation, you are actually building a richer memory network. The word isn't just floating around on its own, it's connected to the situation, the tone, maybe even the emotions of that moment. This makes it so much easier to recall when you need it later because your brain has more ways to retrieve it. The second major benefit is that it helps you use the word correctly in real life situations. When you see a word in context, you're not just learning what it means, you're learning how to use it. You get a sense of what situations or conversations it fits in, whether it's formal, casual, emotional, or funny. This makes it much easier to apply the word in conversations or writing because you're already familiar with how native speakers use it. Instead of just recognizing the word, you own it. You know how to use it in a variety of situations. And those situations will also serve as prompts for recall. So, what is this method? You're going to go through some sort of media, like a book, a movie, podcast, whatever it might be for you. And you're going to draw from that the words that you don't recognize. Rather than pulling them from a vocabulary list, you are pulling them out of context. Then, instead of just adding them to a flashcard app and try to memorize them in isolation, you are going to put them into context. So, from context to context. Start creating sentences with those words, but don't make them random sentences. Make them personal. Sentences you can see yourself actually using in real life. For example, instead of something like, the cat sat on the mud, how about something more meaningful, like, we sat on the runway for 5 hours waiting to leave on my first holiday. See the difference? You're tying the word to something real, something emotional. Not only does that make it stick, but it also makes it easier to recall. The idea is to pull the word from one context and then put it into your own context like your own life, your experiences. This way, you're not just learning the word, you're learning how to use it in a way that matters to you. You're connecting it to your own world. And that makes it so much easier to remember and use later on. So, just to recap, find new words in context, whether that's from a book, a podcast, a show, or campfire stories, whatever. Write those words down, not just by themselves, but in the sentence you found them in. Then create your own sentences that feel personal and relevant to your life. And trust me, when you do that, the words won't just be random vocabulary, they will become part of your everyday language. Bueno, aventureros, if you found this useful, then maybe hit that like button, but definitely subscribe for more tips. And let me know in the comments your favorite Spanish word. Mine is tiquismiquis. And I have a challenge for you. The first person to use this word correctly in a sentence in the comments will have a free one-on-one session with me. Bueno, aventureros, nos vemos muy pronto. I'll see you soon. Hasta luego.